Hello, everyone. This is Kevin Morrison. I'm the Cook County Commissioner of the 15th District. I represent the northwest suburbs of Cook County. First and foremost, I want to thank everyone who's joining us live today and everyone who will be watching this recording. But I also want to thank Zoo CEO Stuart Strahl of the Brookfield Zoo for joining us. And we also are going to have some special guests later in the hour. Not too much time, but I know you're definitely going to enjoy meeting some of our friends over at the zoo. Again, I want to wish everyone a happy virtual outdoors week. This is a week-long continuation since we can't do our second annual outdoors days at the Brookfield Zoo like we did last year. We are bringing to you incredible content all week long. Hopefully, you've signed up to participate in all the fun activities we have, from bingo to our scavengers hunt, and all of those will enter you into winning prizes this week. We've got a lot of fun activities, but this one I was really particularly excited for. Many of you know that on the Forest Preserve Board for Cook County, I am the committee chairman for our zoological committee, which is over the Brookfield Zoo. I have a lot of love for the Brookfield Zoo. I've enjoyed all my visits there. If you were paying attention to our yesterday's live stream, our main prize, and thank you, Stuart, and our friends at the zoo, is going to be a VIP experience at the Brookfield Zoo. So that's the main prize for all of our fun activities this week, and I look forward to finding out and seeing pictures of whoever wins that. Now, without further ado, thank you so much, Stuart, for being with us today. Stuart is the CEO of the Brookfield Zoo, and we're ready for your introduction. Thank you for being here.
Oh, sure. Well, Commissioner, we're very pleased to have you as our zoological committee chair. You've done an awful lot already, and we're looking forward to having a lot more fun once the whole COVID crisis is a little bit further behind us. You all may know that the Brookfield Zoo was opened in 1934, on July 1st, 1934. And it is run by the Chicago Zoological Society. The Chicago Zoological Society, though, was formed in 1921, and that's when the forest preserves of Cook County were donated a bunch of land that the donor wanted it, Edith Rockefeller McCormick, wanted to be a big zoo like they have over in Europe. And so she and a number of the commissioners toured zoos all around the country. They came up with the idea that it shouldn't be a public, just a government-run zoo. It should have a not-for-profit organization. That's what we are, the Chicago Zoological Society. Anyway, since that time, we've seen about 160 million people go through our gates. We have a lot of animals here. It's 210 acres. This summer, we have an exciting exhibit with dinosaurs, animatronic dinosaurs. And they're scattered all around the park, and it's sort of like a scavenger hunt. Go find these dinosaurs. And, you know, dinosaurs being big, they're not too difficult to find, but they're all pretty cool. And they all have different stories. So we'd like to come out and see that, plus all of our animals. Our animals are being taken care of by our keeper staff, but they really miss all of you. For instance, our giraffes, we have giraffe feedings. Last summer, we had giraffe feedings. People could go feed the giraffes romaine lettuce. And when you walk by the giraffes right now, they're sort of follow you along saying, where's my romaine? So if you come out to the zoo, come see the dinos, come visit the giraffes, and we'll be open sometime right in the beginning of July this year. Anyway, there's a long history here. I won't go into it except to say we are excited about bringing people, animals, and communities together for the conservation of nature. That's our whole mission. And we know that it's not just about saving animals, it's about getting people engaged in nature. And that's what we're all about here at the Brookfield Zoo. We have some great animals that interact directly with people, and some wonderful keepers. Our keeper staff are devoted to animals, and they're devoted in telling you about animals. and to get you to be just as excited about their animals as they are. And they do a great job of it. So today, that's what we're going to be doing. We work with a lot of inner city communities. We work with school groups. And we work with 115,000 member families that we have around the region. So it's about people, animals, and community. And thank you very much, Commissioner, for hosting us in this virtual tour.
Thank you so very much, Stuart. We're so happy to have you here today. I know that I've already enjoyed all of our adventures that we've had at the zoo. I again want to thank everyone who's watching this live. For those of you who are watching the recording, if you post any questions in the comments, we'll get you answers down the road. But for those of you watching live, if you have any questions whatsoever about Brookfield Zoo, about the animals, about the history, anything whatsoever, put those in the comments now, and we'll be happy to address those questions now that we're in our discussion section. But first, I want to check in with you, Stuart. How is the zoo How is the zoo doing right now during the closure? How have things been?
Well, it's really been tough because, most of our attendance and most of our earned revenue comes between May and Labor Day. And we are going to be shut down for the months of May and June. We're shut down for all of April and part of March. So, it's kind of tough. I think the thing that I miss the most is being able to look out my window and see all these people with smiles on their face going by. We have taken care of the animals. We have taken care of our staff. Right over there. Hang on. I have my mask on now. Right over here, I have my mask. When we open back up, we'll have masks for people when they come in. We want people to social distance. But you're going to be in a uncrowded zoo. Normally, on a summer day, we would have something along the lines of 10,000 to 20,000 people in the park. But we're going to have time ticketing, and we're going to have about 5,000 people in the park at any given time. Financially, it's very difficult for us, but everybody's pulling together here. All of our animals are getting the best care, and we're actually enjoying walking around a little bit in a park and seeing all the animals who are looking around to see where all the people are. So that's what I can tell you about that.
Very good. Very good. So all the animals are keeping well fed then, I take it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's the people are. We have all of our staff, all of our keeper staff. We like to say it's not just a profession; it's a calling. Keepers are very special people. They interact with their animals. The human-animal bond that we celebrate at the Brookfield Zoo is not represented anywhere better than it is between our keepers and their animals.
Very good, very good. And I know you discussed mask wearing, social distancing, limiting the amount of people who are able to enter at one time. Are there any other examples you can give of how the zoo might look a little bit different as we're dealing with this epidemic?
Well, we're going to have, I'd say you're going to see a lot more open space, and you can have the same kind of fun with animals. There won't be so many keeper chains because we don't want to have too many people congregating at any given time. But certainly there are plenty of people out there who will interact with you and guide you along your way because our customer service training is second to none here in the galaxy that we live in.
That's amazing. Very good. What new things will guests be able to see when the zoo reopens?
Well, we have two new lions, Brutus and Titus. And they're spectacular two male lions. And so they came in while everybody was out with COVID, and they're doing really well. I mentioned the giant dinosaurs, which are animatronic and growl and do everything that dinosaurs would do except eat you. And we have a number of other new people or new animals in the park as well. So all those will be posted up right by the front gates, And, you'll be given a lot of personal attention by our staff. Whatever you want, just ask a staff person and they'll know where it is.
Oh, wow. Now, I don't know if you could say this, but you said that the two new animals were acquired, correct?
Yes, yes.
Well, I can't help but think, I wonder if that has anything to do with Carol Baskin getting from for all of you people sheltering in place. I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. I wonder if it came from that retreat.
No. They came from the Hogle Zoo in Salt Lake City. And so we lost a couple of lions, and we have a nice lion exhibit where the animals are very visible, including a window where you can get pretty close to the lions. So we decided to look around and find two big males, and they were available. So, and I think people don't understand this. We don't go and get our animals from the wild. Zoos and aquaria around the country who belong to the Association of Zoos and Aquaria, we trade animals between each other. And the reason for that is we're always looking for the right genetic mix. Everybody has a pedigree. And when we're having endangered species and lions are becoming endangered in the wild, and we want to do breeding, we want to make sure that the animals are unrelated and compatible. And so we're basically holding these two males. And someday they'll probably go off and breed somewhere else.
That's incredible. For all of you out there, look up genetic bottlenecks and you'll know exactly what Stuart was just discussing. Now, that's incredible. Now, I know from just getting to know you over the years that you have a incredible insight and knowledge of all things animal kingdom related. But how did you get to be CEO of the zoo?
Well, that's a very long story, but I'll make it short. When I was a kid, I started looking at birds because my window was on the second floor of our house, and there was a big beech tree right out back. And so in the spring, all the warblers would migrate through, and beautiful little birds, but they would be 5 feet away from my nose. We didn't trim the trees much in our place, and I gradually got to know birds. And then when I was about 9, the director of the Bronx Zoo moved in next door to me. And he told me if he had to do it all over again, if I had to do it all over again, Stu, I'd be a field biologist. So I thought, I could be a field biologist. So that's what I decided to do with my life. And I got to visit some really remarkable and live in some remarkable countries and work with indigenous peoples, often forests, all around wildlife and nature, and finding compatibility between people, animals, and nature. And then gradually I started training programs down there. And at the same time, my family, my grandmother and grandfather on my mother's side were Quakers. They had a farm on the eastern shore of Maryland, and they passed. And so my uncle and mother and I decided that it should be an environmental education center. So we donated it to a chapter of the National Audubon Society, and I went down there for about 4 years and got it going. And I'm still on that board, and it was the craziest financial decision we ever made, and the best one for the people and wildlife of the Eastern Shore. And so from there, I worked in the Everglades and with National Audubon, and then, but it was always about people. For me, conservation has always been about people, because so few people get to have interactions with wildlife and nature and get to see some of the things that I've seen in the middle of nowhere in South America and North America. So the idea of coming up here, my predecessor decided that it really was that conservation psychology, getting people engaged with wildlife and nature, and getting them to make decisions in favor of saving wildlife and nature was a cool thing. And so this job, caring, getting people to care, not just about nature, that's easy. Go on TV, you care about nature, wow, that's cool, turn it off, it goes away. But care for nature and making that action, taking an action step and saying, I care so much about these lions here. I'm going to find out about lions in the wild, and I'm going to find out how I can help lions in the wild by telling other people about them, by telling them about all the threats they have in the wild. So the idea of a zoo to me is how do you connect people? And think of this, zoos are in urban areas. Most people who live in inner cities or downtown don't see a lot of wildlife. And the wildlife they see may not be the kind of wildlife that's native to the region or less than noxious. So coming to a zoo, you can see all the wildlife of the world, and you can learn about them, and you can learn about their conservation story, and then you can start thinking about how you can make a difference. And we do that a lot, as you know, Commissioner, with inner city residents here in Chicago, and have huge training programs all around the region that are career ladders for people coming up through junior high school and high school. So that's one of the most rewarding things that I do. And I see Quilbert the porcupine's up next. He's a lot more fun than me, let me tell you. And so you will learn more about prehensile-tailed porcupines than you've ever even heard about them, because we have some great people here to talk to you about porcupines.
I'm really excited. Yes, we've got some exciting guests joining us shortly. I do have one question from the audience that I want to get to before we move on to our animal ambassadors. We're going to have a drum roll. Does anyone have drums present? No. But the question is from Thomas is, will there be any restrictions, for example, say on bathroom availability at the zoo once it reopens, or say food availability or sales?
So that's a really good question. So our bathrooms are fairly large, and we're going to be cleaning them constantly. Our public bathrooms are one of the big safety things that we are concerned about. We're going to urge people to have a mask, or we will figure out a way to get you a mask and social distance. And I imagine that there'll be ways that we will pulse people through bathrooms unless there's something more urgent. And so there's that. So we will have the highest levels of cleanliness using industrial strength and other chemicals that we do. About food, so this year, of all years, we outsourced our food and merchandise sales. So we're working with this great group called SSA. You will look at them and say, well, they're all dressed in Brookfield Zoo uniforms. But this is a really dedicated group of not just chefs, but the staff that they have are terrific. And we're going to have a lot of walk-up instead of indoor seating. We're going to have walk-up and outdoor seating with the ability, with a smaller crowd, to social distance more. But the walk-up booths and that sort of thing will minimize the crowding that you might get in a line in a cafeteria. And we'll have a lot more of it in carts and everything around the zoo. They are really creative, let me tell you, really creative with their menu. Which is why I put on the COVID-15. Let me just say that. So anyway, thanks for the question, though. A very good question.
No, thank you for sharing, and thank you for answering. I really appreciate it, Stuart. And now I'm really excited. We're getting ready almost to introduce Quilbert the porcupine. Before we bring him out, we have a few home videos of Quilbert to share. So let's get those started.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mike Adkisson, and I am here today with Maggie, one of our animal care specialists, and Quilbert. Quilbert is our baby prehensile-tailed porcupine, which is called a porcupet. Quilbert was born here at the zoo about 7 weeks ago, and keeping our baby animals healthy is a very important job here at the zoo. So we are just checking in on Quilbert today to make sure that he's doing well. One of the things that you'll notice if you saw some footage earlier of Quilbert when he was first born was that all of Quilbert's quills at that point in time were brown and very soft, and you can see that they're now starting to come in with the more normal quills that we see in adult porcupines. These quills are made out of keratin, so they're the same material as your fingernails or your own hair, And one of the things that you'll also notice is that Quilbert is looking very much like an adult porcupine at this point at only 7 weeks of age. Baby porcupines are what we call precocial animals, which means that they're born pretty much looking like the adults and grow very quickly and are weaned very quickly. And that's in contrast to animals that we call altricial, which are animals that are born in a fairly helpless state. So if you think about a baby person or a puppy or a kitten or baby birds, those are examples of animals that are altricial. Those types of animals need a lot of care by their mom, and they also need a lot of close monitoring by our animal care staff here at the zoo to make sure that they're healthy. A few other animals that we had born here recently at the zoo were examples of those types of animals. We've got 2 young Amur leopard cubs, G-Lin and Samson, that were born about 4 months ago here at the zoo. With those animals, we do a lot of the same things that we do with a kitten that was born to just a domestic cat. So those animals get routine checkups by our vet staff. They get many of the same vaccines that your own kitten at home might get. We vaccinate for many of the respiratory diseases that kittens and cats are prone to. We also vaccinate for distemper virus because our cats are outdoors and have potential exposure to raccoons and other wildlife in the area where they could pick up some of those viruses. Another young animal here at the zoo that we recently did a wellness check on is Heidi. Heidi is one of our young orangutans. She's about 18 months old right now. And the recent checkup that we did with Heidi is very similar to an 18-month checkup on a human baby. For Heidi's checkup, our vet staff really looked her over from head to toe and did the exact same things that your pediatrician would do if you took your own baby into the doctor's office. Heidi also gets many of the same vaccines that infants would get in terms of measles, mumps, rubella vaccines, tetanus vaccines, many of the same diseases that humans can be affected by, we see in our great apes and our orangutans potentially. So we're very precautious with those things and vaccinate for those same diseases. Quilbert here is in fantastic health, and we're really happy with how he's developing and growing, and he's doing absolutely wonderful. We hope that the next time you're here at Brookfield Zoo, you're able to stop by Hamill Family Wild Encounters. He will be part of our Animal Ambassador program along with his parents Eddie and Lucia. And the next time you're out here, hopefully you'll have the chance to have an up-close encounter with some of our ambassador animals. And we hope to see you soon.
Right over there.
I have no words. You know, for any of you who watch my Census at the Brookfield Zoo videos, you'll know that I've met Quilbert in person, but I have never seen that video that we just viewed, and I am obsessed with baby Quilbert. How adorable. I think we have at least one more video starting now. Incredible. Incredible. Well, thank you so much, Stuart, for being with us today and for watching these videos. We greatly appreciate it. And now I believe Paul will be introducing us to Quilbert live at the zoo.
Yes, and here we go.
Thank you so much.
He's waking up.
Aw.
Quilbert was snoozing a little bit, and he's just now waking up. He'll be his vivacious self in just a few moments.
No worries. Well, maybe we have time for that other video then, potentially. I know we had one more video of Quilbert. Potentially we'll throw that up right now.
Okay.
That is too cool. Wow. God, I can't wait to get back to the Brookfield Zoo.
But first,
Oh, maybe we're gonna bring out Casper.
Okay.
We're switching gears. Another one of my friends who made an appearance in our census at the Brookfield Zoo videos. Shout out. Please go complete your U.S. Census. But we've got Casper the snake. I've gotten to know Casper as well. How are you doing? And is this Craig?
This is Craig. Hi.
Craig, good to see you again. I know it's so hard with the masks.
I know, right?
Well, hopefully you're feeling well. How's Casper been doing?
Casper's been doing great. I mean, she's nobody's there looking at her lately, so she just kind of hangs out in her enclosure. But she's still doing great. We still get her out a little bit.
That's
So
amazing.
she can kind of stay on top of it and still able to do some chats when the time comes. So.
Oh, that's incredible. Well, I just want to give a shout out to all of our live listeners. If you have any questions about either Casper the snake or when we have Quilbert on, you can put those in the comments. We'll see the questions and we'll be able to discuss them. But first, Craig, I'm very curious. Could you discuss what kind of snake is Casper? What kind of information could you share?
Right. So real quick, Quilbert will be coming out, but because he's taking a little minute to get out and start with Casper. And of course, with all the training that we do here, it's all choice-based. So Paul's going to try and get Quilbert up and out and ready to go, but we're not going to force him to come up. So we train these animals here. So again, we always come up with a little backup plan. And I mean, in this case, it's just starting Casper early, but we'll have Quilbert out shortly. So Casper here is a ball python. We got her actually out of a confiscation in 2014. And as you can see, she's pretty different from, what you would picture a snake to look like. And so that's why she actually makes a good ambassador animal here with us. So Casper is considered leucistic, which means that she lacks any pigment. She has no pattern whatsoever. These guys in the wild would come from Africa, and they live kind of in grasslands where it's nice and hot and humid, but they're also good at hiding. So a normal ball python would be black and brown and tan colors. So they would actually have really good camouflage. As you can see, when we put Casper on our naturalistic tree here, you can see her very well. She doesn't blend in very good. So she would actually be a non-releasable animal because she wouldn't be able to get away from predators. She wouldn't be able to hunt properly because her prey would probably notice her. So she wouldn't survive in the wild. So she lives here with us, so that way, guests can come and meet Casper. They get to learn all about the importance of camouflage. They get to learn about why snakes are important, why they're good natural pest control. They take care of all those little rodents and those creatures that you don't want getting into your house or into your gardens or anything like that. And then, of course, she is touchable, so the guests would get to pet her normally, so they get to feel how cool a snake feels and expel that myth of how slimy and gross they are, because they're not slimy at all. So she makes an excellent ambassador. She's got a very good temperament. She's real chill. She's real good around people and with being held. And she's one of my favorite animals, honestly. So
That's incredible. No, that's so cool. And I know I definitely enjoyed meeting Casper when I was there last. Question, what does Casper like to eat?
So Casper here eats small rats right now. So everything that we feed here, as far as prey items go, is frozen and thawed. So we'll get that stuff from our commissary frozen already. We'll thaw it out the day before, and then we offer it to her. That way, it makes it easier for us because for me personally, I love rats, and I would have a hard time feeding a live rat because I'd probably grow attached to it. But also, live prey can would kind of enhance her instinct of wanting to hunt, but it could also, a lot of animals could fight back and could injure her. So, and that's a risk that these animals take in the wild. But here at the zoo, we don't need to do that. So everything we get is frozen and thawed out prey.
That's incredible.
A larger snake like this, she does eat rats now. But when we first got her, we had to feed her smaller things until she was big enough. And a good rule of thumb for a snake is that they can kind of handle items not as large as the thickest part of their body.
That's incredible. Is Casper venomous?
Casper is not venomous, so she's a constrictor. Of course, I wouldn't be handling her this carefree if she was venomous. But so yeah, she's a constrictor. So she is kind of a thicker-bodied snake because they will grab their prey. She does have teeth that she uses to grab on to what she's trying to eat, but then she'll wrap her body around it and squeeze it until it stops moving, and then she swallows it whole.
That's incredible. Where does Casper live at the zoo?
So right now, Casper is on exhibit at the Hamel Play Zoo, but as one of our ambassador animals, she may or may not be on exhibit at all times, but what we say about our ambassador animals is that their main exhibit is actually out on a chat or out for a program. Their main exhibit would be like this. She's here, and we would have guests in front of us as they learn about Casper. So this is where you would most likely see our ambassador animals is during our chats or programs.
Incredible. And does Casper shed his skin?
Casper,
and does it hurt?
Yeah, Casper sheds her skin. So for reptiles, they shed, but in the case of snakes, they're supposed to shed their skin in one continuous piece. And so she does that as she's growing or as the skin gets damaged. And she's not a full-grown snake, so she will shed a little bit more frequently than a snake that's pretty much. So she probably sheds around every 2 weeks or so.
That's incredible. We have a question that just came in from our audience. Thomas is asking, how large can a snake like Casper get?
So for this species, this is actually one of the smaller species of a python. And she's getting close to being full grown, but these guys will get to be around 4 feet long, give or take a couple inches, and she'll get a little bit thicker than this. But again, these are one of the smaller python species.
That's too cool. Thank you for that. Was Casper born at the zoo, and does he have any family there?
Casper actually came to us out of a confiscation. So a snake like this is bred to look like this, and she can be quite valuable as far as reptile breeding goes because it's not a very common, they call it a morph, not a common morph to get something like this. So of course she's beautiful, but she's also, as far as her genetics go, is very valuable. So she actually came to us out of a confiscation. She was in a little bit rough shape when we got her too, but she was well taken care of by our vet staff. They got her eating properly, and she came in underweight. She came in covered in mites. That was all taken care of, and then she came to us in our play zoo area as a very nervous animal. Which again, these guys are pretty timid, so they're not ones to like strike out when they're afraid, but this snake did strike quite a bit, but with a lot of care, a lot of handling, and lots of snuggles by me, of course. She's actually very coming out for chats and programs and being touched by guests. But yeah, she was not born here. She came to us from that confiscation.
That is fascinating. Is it mites like other animals get, like on the skin?
Yeah.
Where snakes could get?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, very cool. How old is Casper again?
So we don't know for sure again because she came to us from outside, but based on the size that we received her, and we've had her about 6 years, we would probably guess a good guesstimate would be about 8 years old. And she still does have a little bit more growing to do, and that's partially because she came in such poor condition. But Yeah, I'd say a good estimate would be about 8 years. And now these guys under professional care could live into their 20s, closer to mid-20s. So she's still got a ways to go.
That is too cool. No, that's so exciting. Well, I really appreciate it. I was happy to have Casper back. Can't wait to see him again in person. And I believe now, is Quilbert ready for the show?
Yeah, he is. He's just about to come over here. I just want to let you know that our Casper's keeper here is a nuclear Navy vet. He was in a submarine running around underwater a lot of his life.
Yeah.
And I just want to let you and your guests know that active, retired, reserve, and all other veterans of the armed forces are get in free every day here at the zoo.
Yes.
That's incredible to know.
Well, that's how he started.
Oh, and Craig, thank you so much for your service. We appreciate it, and that's a great shout out for our vets out there. Once it's safe to get back to the zoo, that's an incredible offer that we have at Brookfield Zoo.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Great to see you again. Fantastic. Now we got my other buddy Quilbert in the show, and let's see, and you're Paul, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Like I said, it's so difficult with the masks.
Yeah, sorry about that.
And I believe one of our guests, Vicky, said that Quilbert is so adorable. I agree 100%. For anyone watching live, oh, what a cutie. If anyone has any questions about Quilbert, please put those in the live comments and we'll be happy to get to them. But Paul, please let us know what are the fun facts about Quilbert? What's some information you could share? Is there only one type of porcupine species?
No, there's a few different kinds. So Quilbert is a prehensile-tailed porcupine. These guys are found in South America only. So they also call this particular species is a Brazilian porcupine, but they're also found in Colombia, Venezuela, and a few other the northern South American countries. And he is fully grown. So you saw some of his baby pictures when he was a cute little redhead. But now he's fully grown, and even though he is kind of small, he's only about 9 pounds. Which really doesn't seem like a lot until you're holding them on your arm for about a half an hour and then you start getting a little sore. But the reason for that is because these guys are found up in the trees down in Brazil. They live in the rainforests. So they want to be kind of small. They want to be kind of light because the heavier you are, the more likely it is that you might step on a branch that might break or something like that. One of the other really, really cool adaptations is if you look at his tail, that's where he gets his name. It's this long, long tail. It's a prehensile tail. I'll back up a little bit so you can see everything.
Incredible.
And the term prehensile just means that he can grab onto things. So he can hold on to branches with that tree. He can actually support all of his weight if he needs to. And if you look at the real end of that tail, there are no quills there. Whoop, we're off the screen a little bit.
Wow.
And the reason for that is quills are a little bit dry and slippery. So if he tried to grab on with his quills, he'd slip right off. But this is bare, and it just grabs right onto that branch, really tight, and he can climb all over the place.
That is so cool. Quilbert is the cutest porcupine I've ever seen, I gotta say. What are you feeding Quilbert? What does Quilbert like to eat? What's his favorite food?
So here at the zoo, we give him a big variety of different vegetables. He gets some biscuits that are kind of like the dog food and the cat food that you have at home, but that are formulated for animals that eat leaves and other plant matter. But he's getting squash, zucchini, he's getting a little bit of corn. He's getting some grapes as a treat. We don't give him too many fruit items just because they're kind of higher in sugar. And that's the biscuit. Out in the wild, they would eat all sorts of leaves. They would eat some bark. They'd eat fruits if they could find them. But mainly just plant matter because they are a type of rodent, and most rodents are either herbivores, meaning they eat plants, or omnivores, which means they eat plants, but also a little bit of other stuff too.
Oh, that's so incredible. And where does Quilbert live at the zoo?
So Quilbert actually lives behind the scenes, kind of like Craig mentioned. He is one of our animal ambassadors. So his exhibit is coming out to see you guys and doing chats and shooting awesome videos about the census and doing other fun stuff like that. But kind of giving you that up-close experience that you otherwise wouldn't get. So you can kind of make a close connection with an animal that most people don't really even know about.
Oh my God. Well, I'm going to try to pull my strings. I know we're doing outdoors week virtually this time around. Hopefully next year we'll be able to all be in person, but maybe I could try to pull some strings and get Quilbert to be our animal ambassador for next year. But I think you mentioned this earlier. How old is Quilbert?
So
how long does he live?
Oh, sorry. Quilbert will be 2 years old in 2 weeks. He was born on July 2nd, which is actually World Porcupine Day, so that's perfect.
That is too cool. Oh, very cool. And how old do porcupines usually live to?
So this particular species of porcupine, they usually live into maybe the late teens to mid-20s. Some of them can even get to the late 20s, 27, 28, but usually a little bit younger than that.
Oh, very cool. And I know you yeah. Oh, he's so cute. Look at that picture. He's looking right at us. Whatchamacallit? I know that you mentioned some cool adaptions. What are some interesting facts about porcupines that you can share?
So, as I mentioned, there's a few different types of porcupines, and Quilbert falls under the category of New World porcupines, which means that he's from the Americas. There's also Old World porcupines, which are like the African crested porcupine, the Cape porcupine. But one particular neat thing and kind of a painful thing about New World porcupines is all these quills are actually barbed. So when they stick in you, it's kind of like a fish hook almost. They stick in you. You have to yank them out, and it hurts a lot. Thankfully, Quilbert knows us, and he likes us, and he likes hanging out with us. So the only times I've been stuck have been totally by accident.
Wow. Well, and I'm sure you haven't counted, but on average, an individual like Quilbert, how many quills do you think that they have?
Unfortunately, I don't know an average number, just because these things are just modified hairs. So it's kind of like trying to count the hairs on your head. There's tons of them all over the place. He's got really small ones up. He's got really long ones on his back. You can see those. And they're constantly growing and falling out just like your hair does. One of the questions we get from kids a lot is, can he shoot these quills? And I always like to tell people, can you shoot your hair? And not really, because they're the exact same thing, basically. They're just a modified version of your hair.
That is too cool. He is by far incredibly adorable, and he looks very friendly. What is your favorite thing about Quilbert?
I think that nose. He's got that giant marshmallow nose. These guys have an excellent sense of smell. That just makes them so much cuter, so adorable.
Can you pet nose? Can you pet Quilbert? Is it soft?
He's not really. No. They're very hard, and you have to pet from a front to back direction. And even then, we don't generally pet him. He's not really an animal that likes being pet. He likes socializing with us because he was hand raised, so he knows us. He likes being around us. But they're not really a tactile species. But thankfully, just for husbandry purposes, so if we ever have to take him to the vet or we need to check his feet, he allows us to manipulate his feet. He'll let us touch him, on his belly if we need to check his belly. But he doesn't really come up to us asking for pets or anything like that.
Oh, that is too cool. Oh my God. We've got listeners right now saying that Quilbert has the cutest nose. I agree. No, that's amazing. Let's see. I think we talked on that. What is Quilbert's daily schedule like? When does he wake up?
So he wakes up when we show up, basically. He knows us. These guys generally are nocturnal species, but just like, a person who works the night shift will kind of adjust their schedule. He's adjusted it for us because, again, he likes to see us. He likes being around us. So the keepers will come in the morning. They'll check on him. They'll clean his enclosure. They'll give him his breakfast, and then usually somewhere midday, we'll do a training session. We try to train our animals at least once a day, every single day. He'll be given some enrichment, which is kind of a fancy word for basically animal toys that we use to solicit or elicit animal behavior. So we want to get natural behaviors from these guys. We want them to act like they would out in the wild. So we'll give them different objects that kind of let them manipulate or forage. And then he gets his dinner, and that's usually the end of the day for him.
Oh, that's too cool.
He's got a very busy schedule.
Huh? Oh my gosh. Well, are there any facts to share about porcupines that you would like to share with the audience? Things that are not as well known about porcupines or anything?
I don't know, some of the unique things. He can't really see it right now. But towards the bottom of these quills, they start to look a little bit yellowish. And the reason for that is they actually produce kind of like a greasy secretion almost that's has antibiotic properties. So if they get poked by their own quills, they've got a natural antibiotic kind of on their body already to make sure they don't get infected by that.
That is a very cool adaptation. I know we had someone in the live audience ask where Quilbert is from. I believe you said not only South America, but Brazil. So that's a shout out to Aaron. But another question is from a different Aaron, actually, is do you have to trim his nails?
We don't normally. We could if we needed to, but he maintains them himself pretty well. He's a rodent, so he's got those rodent teeth in the front, those 2 big teeth on the top and 2 big teeth on the bottom. So if he needs to trim his nail down, he can kind of chew on them a little bit. But again, he lays them down just in the basic course of the day. So walking around on the branches, climbing on things. He's kind of self-maintaining in that way.
That is really, really fascinating. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to meet that little guy again. Let's see.
He can't wait to see you guys again. Like I mentioned, he's one of our social animals. He was hand-raised because his mom didn't really know what to do. She was a first-time mom. So she just kind of had him and walked away. So he was raised by myself and a few other keepers. But because of that, he loves seeing you guys when you stop by. He loves coming out for his chats and hanging out with everybody. That's
too cool. How did Quilbert get his name?
It was a donor name, I believe.
Oh, wow. Very cool. Very cool. That's so fascinating. Well, if the audience has any last questions, they can put them in the live comments. No, this has been such a cool experience. I really appreciate it, Paul. Is there anything else that you would like to share about Quilbert or about porcupines or about your experience?
I mean, they're just very fascinating animals. I mean, they're really intriguing. They've got some very unique features. I think they're very smart for a rodent. You know, a lot of times people think of rodents and they think just, you know, the rats they've seen running around in alleys and things like that. But these guys are also rodents, and they have very complex behavior and just kind of very complex social lives too. And it's something I think not a lot of people think about.
Yeah. Well, we just got a question in. I know you all take great care of all your animals at the zoo. What is the life expectancy of a porcupine in a zoo setting?
Yeah, so because we have some really great and amazing staff here, we've got our own vet hospital on the grounds. We have a staff nutritionist. We have all of us keepers just constantly watching out for these guys. The life expectancy in a zoo setting is fairly longer than out in the wild. So I mentioned earlier that the lifespan is generally late teens to mid-20s. It's usually closer to the late teens if he's out in the wild. But under professional care, that's when these guys can live into their mid-20s, even late 20s, because we can spot early signs of anything. He doesn't have to compete for food. He doesn't have to go forage for food. We bring that to him. But also, he doesn't have to deal with possible predators, too. I mean, even though he's covered in spikes, there are animals out there that might try to go after these guys, usually not successfully.
Right.
They have such great defenses. But
oh, that's incredible. And you said he's about to be 2. That means we got many, many more years of Quilbert. We had another question from the audience. Do the whiskers perform a function as well?
Yes, yeah. So because these guys are primarily a nocturnal species, when they're climbing around in those trees, I don't know if you can see those really long whiskers there. There's not a lot of light out there. So those whiskers help him feel around up in the trees at nighttime, because their eyesight in general, even during the daytime, is not very good. So you can kind of see them on the white background there. But those whiskers kind of work like you kind of feeling along the wall. Say if you get up in the middle of the night and you're trying to find the bathroom, he can feel with those whiskers just like you guys feel with your hands.
That's amazing. No, that's so cool. No, Paul, I greatly appreciate the run through. I greatly appreciate you welcoming and introducing Quilbert to the audience. I cannot wait to come and see you all again in person once we're all able. I know I've always enjoyed our adventures over at the zoo together. So I thank you, Paul. Hopefully you and your friends and family have been staying safe and healthy. And I want to give your arm a rest. So you've got your workout for the day. So thank you so much. And now we're going to move on to our next section. Thank you, Paul.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Wow. I really hope everyone who's been watching this live has been enjoying. Hey, Stuart, again. How cool is that? No, Casper, Quilbert, our incredible keepers over at the zoo. They do an incredible job, and it's been great working with them over the past year and a half. Right now, I want to introduce you to some of we have a video actually with Quilbert and Casper and myself that I'd like to share. If you saw my video series about the U.S. Census, the census is here in 2020. I hope you're participating, but check out this video. It's too cool. Oh, the volume's off. Hold on, we're gonna restart and put that volume on. All right. You know, technical difficulties. Living in the world of Zoom and StreamYard. Here, let's give it a go. Let's see if the volume's up.
Hello, everyone. This is Cook County Commissioner Kevin Morrison here at the Brookfield Zoo for another edition of our story about the 2020 census. Happy Census Day, everyone. It's April 1st. I'm very sad to report that this is my last video, which is why I've brought not one, but two special guests here to encourage you to fill out your census today. I want to welcome Quilbert, the porcupine, and Casper, the snake. We were just reminiscing about all the fun times we had these past few weeks. Quilbert and Casper were kind enough to put together a little surprise clip reel to remind everyone of why the census is important. Roll the footage. You are so right that the census is basically our government taking a complete count of everyone in our country and where they are living in this moment of time. Oh wait, am I allowed to have my hat in this one? They both wake up at the crack of dawn. Oh God, that's a horrible laugh. Now, the real U.S. Census has about 7 questions per person, and it's really quick and easy to complete. Before about here are some pro tips. Maybe even the greatest of all time special guest. In fact, it's against the law for the Census Bureau to publicly release your responses in any way that would identify you or your household. Oh. Small businesses, he's going to walk away. Access to this. Once you have your invitation, you can complete the census online, by phone, or mail. It's quick and easy. They're really all going to attack me soon.
So that was the last right there. What do we have?
Probably do another. Wow, you really had to include the goat bloopers? Was that your idea, Casper? Certainly felt cold-blooded. Well, whatever it takes, everyone is excited about the census. What was that, Quilbert? That's a great point. You're a really sharp guy. We've taught them everything we know. It's time for them to leave the nest and fill out the census today. By now, most people should have received an invitation in the mail from the U.S. Census Bureau with instructions on how to complete their census online, by phone, or return mail. Why wait? It will only take just a few minutes to complete. If you have time to watch my cute animal videos online, you have time to complete your census. All right, friends, this is Cook County Commissioner Kevin Morrison signing off for the last time from the Brookfield Zoo for our special report on the 2020 census. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you to the Brookfield Zoo and all of my animal guests for their help. Now, hands, paws, claws, scales, wings in, everyone. Let's make it count, Cook County.
I'm not embarrassed at all by our bloopers reels, but if you like seeing some of the incredible animals that we have at Brookfield Zoo, please go on YouTube to Commissioner Kevin Morrison. You'll be able to find all my zoo videos on my Facebook, on my Twitter. We posted them all. I tell you, they're really cool. I think we have 8 or 9 different videos, everything from gorillas to goats to birds, snakes, porcupines, duck. We had a duck. The duck almost attacked me. No, I'm just kidding. But no, it is so incredibly critical. And that's why our office works so hard to find really cool ways to share information about the U.S. Census. Every individual who participates represents about $14,000 to $18,000 over a decade that goes directly to our communities. It's so critical to have a complete count in the U.S. Census. Please go and be counted, Cook County, especially because that revenue could be used for services like maintaining the zoo. No. So hopefully you go and fulfill your census. If you like our videos, please give them a share. It's not too late to get information to our networks about why it's important to complete the U.S. Census here in 2020. Thank you, Aaron. I thought it was incredibly funny and a little bit embarrassing too. I see your comment. I appreciate it. I just want to thank everyone who watched this live. We had so much great participation. Thank you to everyone who asked questions and participated in the comments. Anyone who watches this recording, any questions that come up later, if you send it to us, private message, send it in the comments, we'll make sure to get you answers. Today's just day 2. How much fun was today? I had the best hour over the last hour, and we've got a lot of content over the rest of the week. So we've got Outdoors Week virtually every day through, I believe, Saturday. We've got prizes. We're doing bingo. We're doing a scavenger hunt. There's so many fun ways to learn about the great outdoors here in Cook County. I hope you, your friends, your family participate. I wish everyone luck on getting the main prize, which is a VIP tour of the Brookfield Zoo, which I've been on. And I tell you, it's going to be the experience of your life, and I can't wait to see pictures. Hopefully you enjoyed today's content. Thank you for being with us, and we'll be back tomorrow. Take care.